All right, what is going on, everybody? Actually, it looks like we're almost ready. It looks like we're coming up on YouTube right now. Let me make sure. All right, what is going on, everyone? I got some great information today. I got this 38-page document from Preston over. He's one of the data miners. He works with Max over at Max Plays CFB. I asked him for some help, and boy, did he come through. First and foremost, 100%, I need you guys to go and check out Preston Chote. I hope I said that right. .dev. If you want any information about CFB27, this dude is going to try to hook you up. If you check out his CFB data page, he's got a ton of stuff in here. All those influencers, to include Coco, well, maybe not Coco, a lot of those people are using his information. So go out, check him out. I'm greatly appreciative of what he's given me. I would call it the ability Bible or the holy grail of abilities. Give me one sec here if I can find what I'm doing. All right. So we are going to jump into this in 1 second. I just got to get this going over here. All right, so what we're going to dive into here is all the information he found, and we're going to talk about it. There's some hidden information in here, and there's also some information we have tested and we have validated, and it's dead on. So, first I want to start with that. I just want to go into this real quick. Sorry, I'm looking to see who's in here. Oh, we got the Ohio State in the voice chat. Glad to have you in here. So if we scroll through this real quick, what I want to just pull out is we had some information about, just want to get to it here, extender. You can see the information breakdown, and I mean, we were dead on this one for the amount of the percentage of breaking a sack and everything. Like it's pretty interesting information, I think. Zucchini's in the chat, appreciate that. But this is 38 pages, guys. So what I want to do is I just kind of want to go through it, and I want to talk about it. I want to have questions asked. I want to talk about the different things we see in here. Coco, I mean, first, just looking at what you see on the screen here, what's your take of like just what you're seeing here?
Hold on, I'm about to go promote your thing. Give me 1 second.
Oh, appreciate it.
That was what I was doing that, and I was on mute. I was eating my 4 o'clock snack. All right. So this is what gets me excited, is this type of stuff right here. This is everything we want to know. Everything. And it's put out in phenomenal categories. Just Preston is the GOAT. And I think it's going to make your content validate it, as well as I think there are times where this may be what the code says, but it may not necessarily operate like that. Mm-hmm. So it's still something we can test and see, like, hey, is this really how it's experiencing? Because as great as data mining is, sometimes what we get isn't necessarily a computer can be tricked.
Yeah,
because it's just complicated. It's really complicated what we get when we dive into it.
Yeah,
so there are nuances to the pieces of information that we still need to test, but it's one of those things that you can specifically, because you're the master of this, is align with, is this what I'm seeing in reality? And if it is, then it's like, okay, this is confirmed. And if it's not, then it's like, okay, there might be something different here.
100%. And there's so many things that, like, you know, I didn't even think that EA was coding. You know what I mean? So, like, I tested out Sidestep last year, right? And Sidestep last year, it was great. You know, I loved the ability. I loved it on 25. But did I know that at high speed, it has a different effectiveness than at a normal running speed? Absolutely not. Now, I will say this. Part of my testing last year, I said, hey, you guys, I think on Heisman, I think we're breaking a little bit more tackles than normal, right? And I thought it was kind of interesting because I'm like, it's a juke move, but I can juke into the player and I can still get like a broken tackle from it. And now what I'm looking at here, you know, right on the screen, we see at the Heisman level, you have a plus 80%, well, to break the tackle during the contest, during the juke. And I'm like, validated. Validated. It feels good. Dominate CFB Dynasty says, confirms my theory from last year that Shifty was triggering on certain break tackle animations. It absolutely does. You know, just kind of going down, we'll go into some of these abilities. Looking at Shifty, one thing that I found really interesting on Shifty, when you're on Heisman level, you're not fumbling the ball. Fumble outcome is changed. So what does that tell you as you're playing the game? So normally, if I'm playing with the East-West playmaker and I have Shifty and I'm running around, you know, when somebody's coming at me and I'm like, okay, I have nowhere to go, I'll throw like a stiff arm, but it's never going to work. I'm hurdling now. Because if I'm on Heisman, I'm not going to fumble.
Spicy, ODB.
You know what I'm saying? And then you look through some of these other abilities. I don't know if you guys saw that there. Right here, you can see it. I think right over here. Fumble outcome. 90% on Heisman. Yep. You know, so that's something I'm looking at. Like, I know nobody wants to hurdle anybody, but now I feel comfortable if that's on Heisman. And then you look at some of these other abilities. Balanced. I think most people would kind of just ho-hum at balance. Again, 90%. You get on a Heisman, you're going to have the ability to hurdle people. I mean, you're looking at some crazy things here on the ability. How much it helps you out going on Heisman. Now, we're talking hidden abilities right now. I want to show you guys one of the more interesting hidden abilities I found on here, and it's going to be under the sleight of hand. So when you're looking at sleight of hand, what do you know about sleight of hand, Coco? Cape, you're in the chat from Poodle CFB. What do you guys know about sleight of hand without knowing anything about this document here?
Well, that's play action, right?
Play action, right? That's what we all think of it as. And if I'm not running play action, well, you know, what's it good for? You know what it's good for here? I'm going to show you guys right now. Sleight of hand. Hey, what's this last one say right here?
Oh, it looks pump fake cells.
Pump fake cells. Look at the percentage increase, bronze to Heisman. Pump fake versus defender. Nobody out there knows that sleight of hand influences that, and now we know. Now, so when do we use those pump fakes on double moves?
I'm gonna use a pump. I'm just gonna pump fake until I'm ready to throw. What are you talking about now?
I know, right? I'm going back. I'm just, you know, I'm not just going to keep doing it until they bite, you know? But, like, these are things that...
30%. That's wild.
I know. And when you look at it, you're also getting... I looked at sleight of hand as like a ho-hum ability. Like, yeah, sure, it's okay. But I'm seeing this right now with a 3.5 second increase on Heisman, to include pump fake, to include extra time before the defense actually reacts. That's insane. That's insane. Like, I want sleight of hand on like all my quarterbacks now. Certainly if I have a decent line and I want to just hit him with a double move, pump fake, and then go deep on him, and you add in another ability like double dip, like that I didn't really like last year, but now I'm thinking I might like it. You know, I see a lot of people talking about how man coverage is so good this year and how everything is so difficult. Well, it's because we have hidden abilities that we just didn't really know about. So that's something I found really interesting. as I was looking through this, I know Cape, you had a chance to to glance at this before we jumped on live here. What caught your eye?
Oh, there are a lot of things that caught my eye, but just to start off with one, I suppose. Really, the defender abilities. Really, when I was looking at blanket coverage, mainly I was looking at a lot of comparisons. So, if you scroll down to, let me see, what page is this?
I got blanket coverage up right now.
If you go to page 31, you look at house call.
Okay.
And there's a lot of different there's a lot of different things when it comes to house call. But primarily the one to look at is secure the interception catch, hold the interception through physics and contacts.
Yeah.
Now you look at those percentages, 10, 20, 35, 60, 75. Those are really high chances to actually catch the ball. So those are all really, really terrific. Now, again, keep those.
Well, so real quick, I want to point something out to the people here. So I see, this is just my interpretation, and maybe I'm wrong in this, but I see plus X%, right? So not necessarily a 10% chance you
Right.
gain. So I just want people to be clear on that. Like, it's not a 75% chance on Heisman. Like, you have an additional 75% regardless of what, or in addition to your base attributes.
Correct. So it's, again, 10, 20, 35, 60, 75. 10, 20, 35, 60. Now, I want you to scroll down to page 36 and look at ball hawk. Now, if you look at ball hawk, you'll find, again, through physics contact, that's a little bit separate of a thing. But if you're looking at just ball hawk, look at the interception catch percentages for those. They're even better than house call. You're looking at 10 versus like 20. Now it's 30.
Yeah.
You're looking at 30. Now it's 50 plus 50%. Platinum, it's doubled. It's 100% more on platinum. It's doubled. So you secure the interception catch. You're getting better percentages on uncontested with ball hawk than you are with house call. The ability that's meant to do that.
Yeah, and I mean, I would have to look at it. I'm not sure if the archetypes. I assume there's an archetype out there that has both ball hawk and house call. Correct?
Yeah, there are a few actually.
Yeah. So I mean, and then you're really taking advantage of that. Now, you can see.
But it's ball hawk. You're thinking about, again, break, thumb, throw. That's what it says. But it's the hidden part of also getting interceptions as well that's not mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, like, I never thought about it having an impact. I had somebody actually once say, catching traffic is a indicator of how well you're going to be able to play the interception, right? And they were curious about that stat because they were like, man, I get a lot of what I think should be interceptions, but they don't. They're not talking about. They're talking about like when it actually there's a physics contact in the air. And now you look at this and you see hold on to the interception through contact, 90+% on Heisman. So how do we emphasize this, right? What's the mental ability? What's it, Legion? Legion's going to increase your composure. Abilities are going to go up. So if you have something on platinum, you're getting that Heisman with a couple batted balls. To me, I just thought that was crazy. And then there was another one I was kind of looking at. It was robber. So I think I tried to do a robber test multiple times last year, and I just couldn't get it down. I couldn't figure out exactly what it was doing. But as you can see right here, change of direction rating bonus, acceleration, and speed bonus, right? So one thing I never really thought about when I was doing that test was the change of direction bonus. And so when we're looking at your lurker middle linebackers, you're getting a 50% bonus. Now, one thing we want to test out is, and I think Cape, you were talking about this, or maybe it was DK, can we go over 99? Right, so if we're at a 99 speed, acceleration, and change of direction, and we get this bonus, are we gonna fly up to 150? You know what I'm saying? Or is it cap out at 99? Brad in the chat says cornerback bump and run and zone get you both house call and ball hawk. Appreciate it, Brad. I've always liked bump and run. I liked them last year, although blanket coverage doesn't work right now. But that's one thing I thought was pretty interesting is, are we going to be able to exceed the 100 or the 99 threshold with these abilities? Because I think that plays a pretty big factor on if I want that going up or not. What do you think about that?
I think that there is definitely proof, far more proof in this game, that you may be capped at a 99 rating, but that's just the setting for the cap. But there are you can definitely go over that cap through modifiers, and this is just further proof of that, because I was saying for the longest time, I don't even like the modern games because they feel like you're in quicksand. And I like abilities like Robber, like Shifty, because it actually feels like you have the control, that a player has the control like they did back in like PS2 era EA Sports titles.
Yeah, absolutely.
Proof of that.
Yeah, and another, just kind of going back into the abilities here, one thing I found really interesting, I honestly thought EA was going to be lazy on this ability. And I really thought it was just going to be run block versus pass block, or run block versus block shed, and that's it, right? But grip breaker, we're talking about angles, right? So when you look at this ability, it just straight up says like the longer you can hold, like your guy's gonna be able to hold it, or not be able to hold it, essentially, based off the degree of angle. So I thought that was really interesting that they actually have that in there, which makes sense, right? And I'm not hating on it. I just didn't expect it. I just thought it was going to be like, essentially is a X percentage boost to block shed, and that's it. So what does this tell you though? When you're running a play, or when you're actually running the ball, if you're thinking about your angles and what the defender has to do to get to you, that's what's going to matter. And somebody pointed this out last year. They said, I think it was UCAP, they said, hey, when you test grip breaker, test it on scrambling quarterbacks, because I feel like it just sparks and it just activates a little bit more. Well, it makes sense, right? Because once you flow from the pocket, you're going to go past that 90-degree angle, and they're going to shed the block, or they're going to go past it. So I thought that was really interesting on how grip breaker works.
And also, I want to also kind of like share, like branch off of that. Strong grip on the other side of that, they're pretty much the same percentages, just in the opposite direction. Now when it comes to pass rush, grip breaker you actually start to see pass on silver, whereas on strong grip you don't see that until gold for pass. But it just kind of just looking at the angles, I just kind of want to stress the importance of these are extreme angles that people are going at. So if you scramble, then your defenders are going to get the angle. So it's really stressed that this works well even in pass, but you need to stay in the pocket. You need to actually step up and trust that your
100%.
Stronger will prevent them.
So a lot of people out there, I just saw a clip the other day, and I think Mills was calling this guy out and said, the guy said, look at this dog shit blocking, right? And the guy shows a clip of himself and he's rolling backwards. Well, when you fade away from the pocket like that, we all know you're creating a better angle for the defensive end. Now, normally I was like, yeah, okay, but that doesn't matter because it's EA and they're lazy. Well, this tells me right here it matters. And this tells me that if I have strong grip, I could, I would want to keep the angle better. So that means I want to step up into the pocket. I want to make a good play. And I'm just really surprised that EA actually put this in there. Oh, we got Rainbow Explosion in the chat. Appreciate you being in here, Rainbow. So I thought that one was really interesting. Now, this is one thing I do want to hit on again real quick. I want to go back and I just want to say, I want to give another shout out to Preston here. This is a lot of this is from Preston, or this whole PDF document's from Preston. He does some great stuff at prestonchote.dev. He's got a lot of information in here. I highly recommend, if you haven't been over to his website, check it out. He's got some good stuff in there. Now, what he does is he mines a lot of that data. He gives it out to different people, and then what we tend to do is, make it a little bit more digestible, I guess, right? But I just want to give him a big shout out again for what he's given me. Now, what I will say is, just because we have this information in here, well, we still have to test it, right? Because there's a lot of plus percentages. 1, 2, we don't know if it actually works, because I'll tell you this, I'm not seeing any effect from mobile Deadeye, even though in here it says, yeah, mobile Deadeye works. So those are things that still need to be tested out. I would say, though, this is a killer thing to have and really look into, as there's just so many hidden things in here that I just didn't know about. Pretty much every running back ability gives you ball security on Heisman. Like right here, we're looking at mobile resistance, and it says it actually works, but I still don't think the ability works itself. Coco, so when you're looking at some of this stuff right here, how do you, being the recruiting guru in here, how do you apply this to your recruiting?
Yeah, I think the number one thing that you want to do is you need to know exactly what you want to do and align with not the ability or the assumed ability, but with the effects and how the effects are. That's what I think this re-establishes. So something for me that I didn't truly understand is impact block on the screen, whatever the screen blocking one is. I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah.
But it's just impact blocking. It increases impact blocking, and impact blocking is something huge for how I play. I like to get out on the edge, and when my O-line encounter a DB or linebacker, I don't want them on their butt. And Screen Enforcer, I think now is going to be able to be something I'm looking for, as opposed to something I didn't necessarily know I wanted. Because I use a lot of my pulling for run plays. Mm-hmm. So I just didn't see a screen like that. Those didn't compute in my head, but now it's just like all this does is increase impact blocking. And you even told me that impact blocking is important for your wide receivers blocking DBs and stuff. So
yeah,
just really interesting that there are some abilities that I didn't know specifically what they did, and now it's like, oh man. So it realigns everything for what we're actually trying to do. Is we're not just reading what Screen Enforcer quote unquote does, but now we're seeing the literal effects, and then you try to align that with what you like to do.
Yeah. And I, real quick, Surly Viper, I believe they do apply to College Football 26 as well. But I mean, I'm looking at this and kind of one thing I didn't really think about is I didn't think that EA would necessarily take into effect position groups, right? So when you're looking at it and you say a second level block versus a DB, I was like, yeah, they're probably not going to take that into effect. Now they'll probably take into effect height and weight and whatever. But you can see right here, there's a significant difference versus DBs. Now, one of the common complaints going around Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, is, oh my God, the wide receivers are pancaking everybody. Well, guess who gets second level? I think it's gritty possession wide receivers, right? So, and if it's focused on DBs, well, there you go. That's big to me. Like, because you guys heard me when I was messing around with second level. I was like, this ability's garbage, dude. Like, big deal. I can beat, a guy I should have beat anyways. So that's something I just found pretty interesting too, is how many different pieces are to this. And it's not just like makes guy faster. Like for quick step, it's bonus, change of direction, acceleration, and speed rating. So that's something I didn't even think about with change of direction for a quick step. And then like we've talked about before with super wins, Look at this one right here on Quick Step. Something I would never thought of is stops a defender from getting a huge win, applies, denies defender super win on the block here when it's on Heisman, right? So like DK over at Dominate CFB Dynasty loves the Quick Step ability since he's not here to defend himself. He loves it. Make sure you tell him he loves it. But this is something like if I'm running a trap, right, and I have a really good defensive tackle on the other side, I could run a trap and never get a super loss or a super win. It's pretty impressive to me. It's pretty impressive. And then we just got OG Smurf in the chat here. What's going on, OG? What do you think of what we're looking at?
Yeah, I'm just looking at what you're going through right now because I'm in the Discord and looking at the YouTube live stream, and this sort of is put together differently. But I would say this matches the way Mutt Leaks used to describe things, like the way it's encoded, particularly when it's saying win versus super win.
Mm-hmm.
Those would be two different things. Because like I would say that the easiest example is of a super win is like when in Madden when Miles Garrett, when you're able to get him through the teleport move on a rush, that's a super win. Versus him just, doing a normal swim move around and beating edge. It's like, no. He's won, he's beat the block, but it's like he's got into a position where it's like he's almost guaranteed to get the sack.
Yeah, so
looking at this,
this
is what I assume things would look like. But shout out to Preston, this is good data mining.
Yeah, it's absolutely good. When I look at for the super win is those, it's almost like that. Like I think about the defensive line and just like almost the reverse pancake. He just ragdolls the offensive lineman, and it immediately makes the tackle in the backfield or the sack. So that's pretty interesting. Now this is something also like there's some tests out there that I've been asked to do, right? Or some I just avoided because I didn't know how to do them and I didn't really understand. And maybe I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to play a full multiple games. I'm gonna have to really figure this out. And recoup was one of them. And one thing I thought was pretty interesting when I was looking through this is recoup. I'm like thinking in my mind it was just gonna be an ability to slow down the fatigue rating. But one thing I thought was really cool was the chance to get a stamina burst, right? So like, you have the running back that might have recoup on it, you break the run and you kind of see your guy slowing down. If you're on Heisman or even shoot platinum, you're gonna have that chance just to have a replenished stamina burst, and then you're gonna be able to turbo past the defender at the end. So I thought that was pretty cool because there's like something like it's just like I'm like I don't know how I'm going to test that. Nor would I have ever thought that there was an actual boost involved in it. So that was one that I thought was really cool that I don't think I've ever would have tested. What are you guys' thoughts on recoup? Because I'm sure none of you have ever really went for recoup.
Yeah.
I think for recoup, it was just... it was more so just like, okay, well, stamina, recovery... stamina, all this stuff, but like, and then stamina drain, all this kind of stuff. But I think the big thing was like, oh, you get a chance to get your stamina replenished mid play.
Yeah,
which is good for especially some players, like especially East-West guys who they're trying to do something some sort of move every sort of play, or which is nice for certain moves and whatnot. Like now we were talking about like, especially when you get into Heisman and you get ball security. I was explaining to ODB, maybe you should get East-West play record with hurdle, and maybe if you have recoup on top of that, then you get that full stamina replenished. You can do another full hurdle. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, I kind of think it makes me relook at how I want to play some of these archetypes out there, because again, like I never thought about recoup. I goof around with ball security. If you watch my video Take Flight last year, I thought that was a fun one to do, but like I never knew that having workhorse also on Heisman will give me a ball security essentially, so it's things like that now when I'm building out that contact seeker, and I'm kind of like, well, of course I want to workhorse would be nice, but like, do I really want to put it up to platinum? And I'm kind of kicking it around. Now I can look at this and go, yeah, I want to put it on platinum, because the moment I get hot, I'm going to have ball security. And contact seekers, oddly enough, don't have like head first. They don't have arm bar. They don't have like the really, really, really good break tackle abilities. So this is one that you can just be like, you know what? I'm just going to hurdle people. I'm just going to go all out and hurdle people. What's going on, OG?
I just had a quick question about how we're reading the Heisman piece. Are we reading that as if you have it at all and you're on Heisman, it does this, or are we reading it if you have platinum and you play on Heisman? How are you reading that?
I'm reading this. I have it on platinum, and I've upgraded to Heisman ability level.
Gotcha.
Yep.
That's being how the game works. That's not how I would interpret it. So I'd have to check back to 25 to know they detailed it in 25. But I believe each ability can go up and down 2 spaces. So it's possible even with gold, you can more than likely get these Heisman benefits in a game if your guy gets hot enough.
Yeah,
so
and
I think
that's
gold.
I think that's right. Also, I guess it's a lot of testing of last year. I'd put it on. I would put it on platinum, and then I'd go up one. So that's pretty interesting. I just never really thought about that, honestly. Max fatigue relief, this ability. Anyway, so let's get into some of these other ones. Let's look at Sure Hands here. So Sure Hands, there's multiple things on here that I didn't ever test last year. So when I was looking at it last year, I was only looking at the knockout rate, which it's pretty good. You know, if you would put this ability on, of course, it scales up very well. I would say you want to at least go probably on silver, maybe gold, because you can kind of see the win contested. Now I'm going to scroll down and look at this. You go, oh, there's a whole nother category, dive catches. What? I thought that was layout. Apparently on Heisman, you will also get dive catches, which is a fantastic thing to have on there. We look at safety valve. This is one we've talked about before at length. I'm not a safety valve person, but again, when I'm looking at this ability, I'm thinking win the routes, and pretty much that's it. I didn't know that it also. I mean, I heard it's kind of like 50-50, but I hadn't really tested it. But you can see right here that you're going to win more contested catches with your running back. And then avoiding knockouts, and you also get the breakup for the catch tackle. There's 4 different things on this specific one here, which is, just pretty good overall. And it makes me really think about this ability in a different light. And maybe I would want. Can I make a Cape? You're the guru on this. Could I make like a 6'5" contested specialist or running back, and just throw him jump balls?
I mean, honestly, yeah, that's something you could definitely do. It's basically a poor man sure hand, or a running back sure hands / 50-50. Also going back to sure hand, one thing was that sure hands and 50-50 actually do have overlap along with safety valve as well. But in Sure hands is definitely better than 50-50. However, 50-50 scales up faster.
Very fast.
Than Sure hands.
Yeah.
In places where they overlap.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the win contested / special catches on bronze, it's 100%. I mean, if this isn't enough right here to say, hey, if you get this ability, just at minimum put it on bronze before you do anything else. That's huge. That's a big jump from nothing, so I highly recommend that. I thought this was kind of interesting too. So layout has a special catch behavior, and it's the only one, I think, that has this identifier of just like a 1 on there. It's either, I guess, like it's like binary, maybe like a 1 or a 0, it's on or off. That's the only thing I can think of, and it's just like if you have it on
that.
What's up?
I was gonna say that reminds me of how things functioned originally when Madden had abilities brought into it, where everything was actually completely binary. I probably have to go back and find it, but no, it was like binary. I'm thinking this special catch behavior is just it's probably for layout of saying, hey, if if the ball is within dive radius or a layout catch radius,
Mm-hmm.
it's automatically turned on for the player, and it's not a random number generator. Being like, maybe they will, maybe they won't lay out for it. This is saying any ball available for
Mm-hmm.
them to lay out, they'll lay out for it. Because the best example I can think of within the original Madden abilities is one I've used was Return Man. That was binary in that if you have Return Man on one of your returners, they broke the first tackle.
Every time.
Guaranteed. There was nothing you could do about it. It made returning a lot easier because like, hey, I know whoever I run into first, that tackle's gonna get broken. If I
Yeah.
got a guy, if I got a guy who's solo down the middle versus trying to go up the outside, I can just run directly into him and keep on going. So yeah, this seems very binary, which just makes me think any kind of catch that's within layout range, they're going to try to go for it, and it not be like maybe they
Yeah.
will, maybe they won't.
Yeah, no, yeah,
And
like absolutely, and it does say attempts, but I still look at it in the sense of now this is another one that I honestly would have skipped before because I'm like, do I really want it? Am I gonna be in those situations enough? I'll put it on bronze now for sure. 100% I'll put it on bronze because I think we all look at it and we say we at minimum want our receiver to attempt to catch the ball, and sometimes it's probably just a little out of reach and we need that layout ability to go out there and actually get it for them.
And the funny thing is
go
that
ahead.
that Sure Hands actually gets that as a byproduct on the Heisman,
Mhm.
and it's a 100% chance.
Yeah, that's which is
Plus
crazy.
100%.
Yeah, which is crazy. Looking at the chat, we got Interceptor was elite when it first dropped too. That must be a Madden reference. Not familiar with the Madden abilities. So we have Cutter here. I mean, you could see the pretty good. It's talking about pretty linear, I would say. Now, this is another one though. Like, it's not a big jump to Heisman, honestly. So I wouldn't really focus it trying to get something like this to Heisman. And same with Double Dip. You can see, Heisman's 100%, Platinum's 100%. No difference there, in my opinion. I personally would probably go gold on something like this because there's no point. I want it to go up one or maybe possibly two, but there's no point to have it to go to Heisman from Platinum. We just did Takeoff the other day. Oh, let's look at Press Pro real quick.
There is
go ahead.
there is something to be said about these percentages,
Mm-hmm.
and that is that I don't look at those percentages per se in a vacuum.
Yes.
I sort of look at some of these percentages against the defending ability on the opposite side.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I look at these percentages and I'm saying, oh, this is the comparison piece.
Yeah. I mean, yes, that's true. I think that's one thing we always have to remember when we're looking at these. It's not in a vacuum, right? And a good example is Press Pro, right? So Press Pro is great. You see these percentages 15 up to 90, but how does that stack up against a jammer, right? So that's now no longer in a vacuum. Well, how does it stack up against a jammer where the receiver's bigger, or something like that? Football Lab 23 says definitely warrants another look at archetypes about what should be targeted year in and year out for recruiting. 100%. Takeoff, we just did this one right here. You can see on this right here, it states does not change route running. Super unimpressed with this ability. If you have not watched the video, I don't recommend it unless you're running switch routes or you're running a lot of backfield threats, a la Coco B. Cruton in his online dynasties. But if you're not running the backfield, I mean, really, if you're not throwing the ball to your running back a lot, and I'm talking at least 6-7 times a game, just don't get it. Don't get it. Like, it's not worth it, in my opinion. Now, there might be a way you can utilize it. Switch routes are great. Hawaii's playbook's great for it, but overall it's not that great. Mobile Deadeye does not work at the moment, so we're not even going to really talk about it. In my opinion, doesn't work, so we're not going to talk about it. This one right here, so it just talks about, it doesn't have a percentage. And so what I wonder on this one right here for Step Up is pass accuracy help. Do you think that's a rating? Do you think that's plus rating?
So. I want to say so.
So I kind of ran this through ChatGPT, and it said I was spot on with the Step Up, and it said you had a 40.35 pixel improvement from no ability to Heisman, and this one is a 40. So I was like, maybe it's pixels, but I don't think so. I think it's probably rating itself. 40 would be a lot, though, wouldn't it?
It's almost unnecessary, because if you think about how much accuracy you need for Step Up in general, Silver
it's gonna be high.
Really, all you need.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna be high in the first place. You're right. Now, unless it goes past the cap. How
more accurate can you get from?
Yeah, right. Magician. So we have Magician here. It's talking about movement in the backfield, and it looks like it has two separate. Well, it has the Heisman bump, but I don't know why it's separated like that. Scramble speed and elusiveness, they both look the same. Scramble movement, one says 20, one says 25. I'm not really sure what the difference is there on those two.
I think it's just an additional bump on top of that. I'm not sure exactly why it's. I think I can. Well, actually, I can't explain. It depends. It's either you look at it as. You either have to look at it as additive, which is, in which case it's just 5, 10, 15, 20, and then 45, or the dreaded multiplicative, in which case you're looking at it as 5, 10, 15, 20, 20% boost, and then a 25% multiplicative boost on top of that, which would make it kind of insane.
Which probably not, but I'm not 100% sure. I haven't tested Magician either year, honestly. So that was another one that I was like, does it really warrant testing? Like, how much am I going to get? Off platform has the same improvements as Step Up does, 5 to 40. Now I will say this: I did a little bit of a test. I didn't publish the video, but I did a little bit of a test, and off platform was not activating as much as it did last year. So really, you have to make sure. Oh, we got Preston in the chat. Look at this, WCRB15. I appreciate you, Preston. One more time, let's give him a shout out. Preston over at, I hope I'm saying his last name right, Chote. Preston Chote. We got him right here. Check out his website. I'm gonna actually see if I can move my face. All right, check out his website.
Sure.
What's that?
Pretty sure it's just Chote.
Preston Chote. CFB Dynasty, there's a lot of great information in here. Highly recommend you come check this out if you haven't already. Also, he does a little stuff with Max Plays CFB. If you haven't checked him out, great guy. Back into what we're looking at here. Now, if you joined in a little bit later, one thing I really liked about this one right here is sleight of hand. Big change, big difference in sleight of hand compared to what we have seen before. We always kind of assumed, we did a little bit of testing, we saw the linebacker get held in place for a variable of time, right? Guys, check this out. Check this out right here. Pump fake cells. Who knew that this changes your pump fakes? This is huge to me. I might start actually recruiting guys with this so I can do a pump fake on a double move and throw that ball down the field. That is crazy to me. 330% on platinum, and you're getting, if you look at all the benefits here, extra time, like, it's not just play actions, it's other things, which is crazy to me. Has this changed anything you would look for, OG?
Pump fakes, I'm not too big on using them because there's not too many situations where you really need them. I mean, they can be helpful depending on what you're running, but the big thing is the play action time delays. That's the big thing. The read and react. The
Mhm.
read and react is the platinum and Heisman, where it's like the extra time before they recognize the play.
Yeah.
So that's just extra time before they even know which direction they should be moving in, which just creates a whole different set of problems.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing this also doesn't have to. Well, knowing how some of the things that from the history of watching Mud League stuff, knowing how it sort of works on the back end, that second bar may actually be something additional because I know the initial rating is based on your play action rating. Well, the timer is based on your play action rating, play recognition versus down and distance. So I'm thinking that second row may just straight up offset down and distance as well. So you don't even got you as they say, you don't have to be on schedule in order for it to
Oh,
work.
yeah, that
It'll
makes
just
sense.
flat out. That makes the extra buffer in there.
Yeah. No, that's a great point. And that's it's something what I want to do is I want to utilize this as somewhat of a guide, right? I want to show you guys in the future like how this is actually working. Hopefully, because I mean it says 250%, 333% for the pump fakes. What does that really mean? But I want to see, how does it actually play? Same thing for the extra time before the defense recognizes the play on Platinum and on Heisman. Like, what does that actually look like? Is that the whole defense? Is that, your key players on the defense? Is that, like you said, when you're not on schedule? So I think that's interesting. Moving into extender. So there's a lot of abilities on extender here. We have break sack from a DB. We know about that one. Break a sack, and you're looking at these two and you're like, okay. Oh, but there's four more in here. And one thing I thought was kind of interesting on this one is break a user controlled sack is different than just a break sack. So if you have the ability to always 100% always switch to the defensive lineman at the last second, because it's going to raise your chances of getting that sack. And it looks like almost 20%, or whatever they have for the multiplier here. So it's 40 for them and break sack. Well, it says 40 for there. What was I looking at? Break sack versus DB, break sack versus user. Oh, okay, so you're going to have a better chance if it's on a lower level. So if it's a lower level, you have 5% versus 0. So it's a little bit better if you have a user control and you're trying to sack the quarterback, which I think we all kind of probably assumed. But it's nice to actually see it in writing there. Say, okay, hey, you have a better chance. And then Preston, in the comments, he said a comment on the accuracy thing. On the accuracy things, I think when you throw a ball, you get a numerical value of the pass accuracy that is affected by the quarterback's ratings, and those abilities add to that final accuracy number. So you're saying like just an additional, like, so if I have a 70 quarterback rating and I add 30, I'm going to have 100 essentially. Switch stick doesn't include the D line, does it? It does not, Rainbow. You cannot switch stick on the D line, but you could hit circle and get to the nearest person to the ball, which is going to help you out. What's up, Coco?
Sorry, my wife called me. She's at the grocery store and had to make decisions.
I get it. This is another one. Breaks down into two different. Actually, I'm going to skip mobile resistance there. We're going to go into resistance. We got two different categories. We got medium pressure and heavy pressure. And you can see on here, the medium pressure is, very helpful. But heavy pressure only helps if you're on the Heisman level. Where can we get the document? So right now, I do have it up in my premium on my Discord. As soon as Preston releases it to everybody, I'm going to put it in my Discord for everybody to get access to as well. But I'm going to let Preston really get the first crack at putting the full PDF out. That GDA VO, that would be a question for Preston. I do not personally have access to the data. I'm 99% sure he's on a computer. Now Dot has a much higher rating than any of the other ones for the additional numerical values that Preston was talking about. But we remember, we when we were going through Dot last year, here's the issue. You have to be no pressure on you, and your wide receiver has to be open. So just skip Dot. Skip Dot. The next one's the best one in my opinion, which is On Time. It works on pretty much every throw. Preston says he'll get it posted on his site later. Again, one more time, we're going over here. Preston Choate. And probably going to be in the CFB data right here. So great stuff by Preston. Option King. Guys, I don't know if you're an option player, but I am. And there's a lot of different data on here. And it's pretty interesting how much is in there. And it actually, Option King is, if I remember correctly, better than Workhorse, because I think Workhorse only gives you an 11% increase on, or decrease of wear and tear. And so if you're correct me if I'm wrong, pure runners have both, correct? Option King and Workhorse? Or they did last year.
Well, it's more so like how hard hits register that you're dishing out, I believe. So it's more so it's more than like aftershock is what probably the better way to. So
that's something I would look at, is like maybe you don't need both, maybe you just go straight up Option King. Here's another one that we have identified. Keep the ball, avoid the fumble. Guys, you just need a gold and all of a sudden you're not fumbling nearly as much. That is huge to know. Because what I would really do is, as an option player, I'm going to be seeking the quarterbacks that have the ability to get to gold for Option King. That's going to be my number one thing, because I want to run my quarterback 15 times a game at least. And so knowing that, that's great. That's absolutely great. And then there's a lot of other ones in here that, are going to help you out, but I don't think anything else really stands out to me as like a wow, that's a big factor. Maybe the pitch out of a tackle is kind of a big one, right? Because you see there's no benefit and then it moves up. So that's pretty cool. I think that you can actually, they have that identified as pitch out of tackle. All right. Getting into some of the offensive line abilities. We got Pocket Shield right here. And when we're looking at Pocket Shield, again, there are 5 different categories we're talking about. Anything stand out to you, Cape, on these ones right here for Pocket Shield?
Oh, there were a lot of them. But the big one to me was Play Action Shield having better protection numbers than most of the other even Pocket Shield abilities, like in terms of growth potential. Because in terms of double team, they're kind of flip flop back and forth even. But win versus standard blocks, Pocket Shield, you don't really get anything until you get a 20% boost at Platinum. Standard block for PA Shield, you get a 10% boost at Bronze and your 20% boost at Silver, 40% at Gold, 65% at Platinum, and these are just for ordinary engagements.
Oh yeah.
And what's even better about it is that when it comes to Pocket Shield, you get those on standard pass plays. That's where you're fighting against Quick Jump. You're fighting against Pocket Disruptor. When you're dealing with play action, none of those abilities actually activate. So you're facing Pocket Shield against a whole host of abilities, but PA Shield is just a strictly better ability, and you don't have to deal. You're not fighting against other abilities on the defense.
But there's also the caveat, right? So we got to look at this when we're looking at our PA Shield ability right there. Remember, first down or less than 3 yards. So we got to make sure we have that and maybe that's why they give you better blocking essentially. But you start to look at these things and you say, how do we really affect a defense. Well, we throw a quarterback with sleight of hand on there, and we do PA shield across. That's something I want to try out now. Can I get 5 offensive linemen with PA shield and a platinum / Heisman sleight of hand? I want to see. I think I'm going to do that as one of my fun tests, just to see what happens and see how much I can beat somebody, beat the computer, because I'm struggling right now, so I need it. Move it into. Go ahead.
No, just the last thing was just the super wins on pocket shield, the defense, stopping a defender from getting a huge win, and also another big thing, because this was a big test for yours last year about defending against quick jump. There are categories in here that specifically said stop the defender from getting a huge win before they're fully engaged. Win with a block. That is the before they're fully engaged part. That's where I'm looking at your defensive tackles with quick jump. That's how they were able to do, because before they were able to really, your centers were able to really react. Your nose tackles were already quick jumping past them.
Yeah, absolutely. Quick drop. Again, it has a change of direction rating, which I thought was interesting. Stop the defender from getting a huge win. That's your Heisman level ability is not told. So if you are kind of contemplating on, upping quick drop, you're never gonna get somebody that just blows through your guy. What's up, Coco? Did you have something?
No, I don't. Okay. Sorry.
No, you're good.
I actually have something.
Yeah, what's up?
So it was a we thought it was a glitch in 25. It came back in 26. I tested it again myself in 27, and quick drop does work as takeoff.
Yes.
And quick drop has better percentages than takeoff. I even posted them in the YouTube chat, where takeoff, your numbers are bronze to Heisman 10, 15, 20, 30, 40%.
Awesome.
Quick drop is 10, 25, 40, 60, 90% speed boosts.
Wow.
And acceleration.
That's huge. That's huge because, when we think about, we were talking about it on the takeoff video, vertical threat tight ends, they can't get this. But if you have a 90% increase on a pure blocker, all of a sudden it's a pretty big win for quick drop, in my opinion.
And these boost percentages, the boosts themselves, not the actual numbers, but the boost percentages at pretty much every step are doubled from takeoff.
Nice.
After block.
Moving on to the shield abilities. These were some of my favorite abilities from 26 for the offensive line. We have one thing I thought was interesting. They straight up tell you about pancake level standard block win. Once you get to the high or the platinum and Heisman level, that's awesome. Because we were talking about it in the chat, the stream a couple days ago, saying how do we get more pancakes, or how do we lessen the pancakes? I didn't know Inside Shield was actually going to help with your pancake levels. So that's pretty cool to see at the platinum level and the Heisman level. That's what you're going to be getting out of it. Also, very odd percentages here. If you're in the chat still, we have 97% for platinum. Interesting. I'm just curious on that one, because that's a very specific. And then it looks
that's such an odd number.
Also, looking into the next one, same exact thing. It looks like for outside shield and for option shield. Now, again, these are something I want to test, like what actually will activate. For example, option shield last year, read options didn't work. This year they do work. So those are things I want you guys to know when we do the videos. Talking about Screen Enforcer, I think, Coco, do you have a sec to talk about Screen Enforcer and second level to anybody who just tuned in and why you like them?
Yeah, the big reason, which you illustrated earlier, is just the differentiation that it has for linebackers and DBs. So especially if you have a gritty possession wide receiver who can get that second level, you can be running the RPO bubble screens
Mhm.
and just dominating as your wide receiver just pancakes the DB all day if you have it on platinum with on Heisman difficulty. So it can be really dangerous if you've got your one receiver who's catching the bubble and your two other receivers who are gritty possession.
Getting out there and making those blocks. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you can get it on gold, I think that's a big factor of an RPO offense that would just dominate. Now here's an interesting one, right? So I like testing the weird abilities. Sidekick, nobody uses sidekick, dude. Nobody even has fullbacks anymore. Cool. It says 25 all the way to 100 for your cut block attempt. I don't know if I believe that. It says to land the cut block. Here's the thing. Not every time they're going to cut block, and I think Jake over at MF Film Room was like, hey, I hate this ability because my guy's supposed to cut block and he's not. We're going to try to figure out when they should cut block and try to get you a guide on that so you can kind of set it up where you're like, I know for a fact this guy will cut block and it will help you out. And then there's also a little caveat there. Win versus the defender move. Stop the defender from getting a huge win on Heisman level. Now, it says defender. It doesn't say linebacker. It doesn't say DB. So this could, to me, sounds like if you want to shift your line and have your fullback try to take on the edge defender, it might actually work. And we got strong grip. We talked about strong grip earlier. It's the different lateral percentage moves. So just knowing your angle of attack is very important. Going into quick step, this ability, I just did a test on this on a stream. This is something I'm very curious about because what my timing shows is everything kind of caps out, right, at about silver. But I see right here that I get 100% bonus to my acceleration speed and change of direction. And I'm curious to actually see how that works in actual play, because every time I've tested it in a vacuum, it kind of just gives me the same results. So I want to see more of this one right there. Now, the big thing to me is going to be stopping the defender from getting a huge win. If you have this on platinum, guys, put it on your guard. Start running some trap plays. Start running plays that will get those impact blocks working, and they'll never get beat, which is nice. All right, just for you, Jax. What's up?
Well, one thing I was just going to point out is that the other issue with testing something like Quick Step is 50% extra of like 60 acceleration is not as much as say like an 80% or like a 50% on like an 80 acceleration and change of direction.
Yeah. Yeah, it should help out a lot. I mean, it's anecdotally, when you look at it, you can see it. Certainly when you start do some of those pin and pull sweeps where you really get those guards and tackles like really trying to go around the edge. I think you can see it personally. Moving into ground and pound. This is what Jackson was asking for in the chat here. 5 to 40%. So 40%, that's pretty good for fatigue. Now I want to know how that stacks up if you have battering ram, scheme guru ground and pound. Like, what does this really look like if you stack all these things together? You know, does it matter if you get a double team on ground and pound, 2 ground and pound offensive linemen double teaming a tackle or something like that? Is that going to wear them down even faster? Interesting things to check out. Moving into wear down, the exact the same thing here. Fatigue on the defender. I think this is found on pass protector. So if I'm not, I think I'm pretty sure on this one. Now it does say when you win a run or pass block, so that's interesting to know.
One thing I wanted to do is like mention before you move on is comparing that to say recoup. So wear down, ground and pound, like on platinum. 30% win rate after fatigue on a block win or a pancake. Recoup just on bronze has a 30% recovery rate bonus regardless of what happens on the play.
Okay, so you're saying if I have recoup on my guy, it's going to almost negate pretty much anything ground and pound's doing.
at bronze.
Lord, that's
Great.
that's something I haven't even thought about. I mean, I don't think that many people really go out there and run ground and pound, but it's kind of interesting to think about it as a direct counter to that, how effective it is. Looking at
and for wear down as well, but like same thing.
Yeah. So looking at duress, so this is I think this is my first like this ability's broken video last year. Raises how hard your pressure affects the quarterback, 15 to 90%. I do want to retest this. So I think I may have I don't think I had a very good test last year when I think about it after the fact. Go ahead.
Yeah, ODB, that duress, that is probably going to be one of the ones that's the hardest to test out because of I guess back in the day when I was deep into playing, we called it players' hidden traits. But every QB has basically a senses pressure grade, which I think you got normal, ideal, oblivious, trigger happy, and each one of those has a different scale. Has a scale of how big the penalty is, what the range is for that pressure to be, and how quickly they detect the pressure. It's a mixed bag, but it's like each QB detects and senses pressure differently.
So
I think oblivious means there's no added pressure for if it's 2 rushes versus 1. But yeah, that one's probably hard to test because knowing when it's actually triggering is going to be different, and then each QB's throw power rating. I mean, not throw power, throw under pressure rating determines the penalty as well. So
I
don't think that one's going to be.
So the thing I thought was, when I did my test last year, I had 2 different quarterbacks. One was oblivious and one was paranoid, right? So they were the opposite ends of the spectrum, and there was no change. But what I think I did incorrectly is, I'm looking at it now, what I should have done is tested essentially the meter and saw like how much the meter is changing as this is happening, right? And instead of like, hey, did I throw it accurately and on time? Like maybe I'm just better than the average user. If you watch my live stream games, you'll know that's a fallacy. But I think I can test it out. I think I could figure it out. Certainly with my team builder teams, I could kind of make them exactly how I want them. So I would make sure that they're paranoid or their traits are normal before I do anything. I could even test it on something else. So I think I could test it better this year. And then just real quick, Preston, recoup is only stamina though, not wear and tear, correct? And then I don't think Preston has Scheme Guru coach abilities up yet. I think he might be working on them. I think right now though he only has recruiting. Looking at Pocket Disruptor, I was not a big fan of this last year, but looking at this, it does kind of feel a little bit better. I mean, you have 2 separate categories here. So you have your main shed rush and also an extra cut I'll go down to in a second. Extra cut and deny pass. The beat a pass double team. I don't think I don't double team much on my pass rush or my offensive line, but I think in general the scalability of these are pretty good. Now, I would say the only thing that's concerning is this first one is your rush / shed move. Bronze and silver gets nothing, and gold's only 17. I mean, platinum's 33. That's not that good. I'm not impressed with that specifically. But dominate versus a cut block, okay, you're not getting cut block that much. Shed engage resolves faster. Now that's a big one. Certainly when you throw on a ability like quick jump and you get to the block faster and you're now shedding it faster, right? That's important to me. And then moving on to the second piece of that, we're looking at, beat a cut block, win your shed move. This is going to be all against those extra block / deny paths type blocks, and then a huge win. So they're not bad against those specifically, but just on a regular old pass rush, it doesn't feel that impressive. I don't know. Maybe I'm maybe I'm biased. Maybe I have a confirmation bias or internal bias against this for whatever reason, but that one just kind of sucks in my opinion right there.
The beating your rush shed move, um, defenders already beat the pass rushes at a pretty okay clip already.
Mm-hmm.
So 17% on top of that, while the percentage being minor, the impact is actually pretty big.
I could see what you're saying on
Yeah,
that. Yeah, that's fair.
and I would say this the 17% plus it resolving 50% faster, that they just both compound very easily.
Yeah, now that's what I would want it for, is the ability for it to resolve faster. Because so on our test the other day when we were looking at offensive line, I mean, generally speaking, I would give it about an average of about 3.25 seconds from snap of the ball to hit of the quarterback, right? Now, if you're resolving 50% faster on your actual blocking part of that, you might resolve the whole situation maybe a quarter of a second or a half second faster, right? And that's a big deal. Appreciate the shout out there, Coco B. Cruden. If you're not following Coco on TikTok, he gives out some fantastic recruiting advice. Highly recommend Coco. Moving into takedown, ChatGPT said I was spot on this one as well on our tests. So I had to give I'll give Chat a shout out too. It's just as good as I thought it was, in my opinion. And maybe I have some confirmation bias there. But we're looking at a 95. When you get up on Heisman, you're starting to look at pretty big deal for turnover resulting plays. Elite strip animation, 25% on Heisman level. That's important. Turnovers win games. Again, if you watch my live streams, turnovers also lose games. So I think that's a pretty big one. Inside disruptor, I just did this test. I did not like this ability. I don't believe in it. So I'm looking at these right now. These percentages, again, this is plus whatever percentage it is. Ordinary shed that becomes a big win. I did not have those numbers. The numbers well, of course it's not an exact percentage, but I'm going to pull up my actual numbers here. What I had, if I can. If anybody wants to talk about something for a sec.
I think inside disruptor, pretty similar numbers to outside disruptor, except inside disruptor has better percentages on beating double teams, but they probably have been neutered since last year. They've been nerfed as the result of everyone pretty much everyone universally anecdotally saying that stopping the run is harder this year.
Yes. I mean, yeah, absolutely. That's what it feels like. Maybe I can't. I was trying to share my little sticky notes that I have here. But let's just take a look. So it says a 10% increase on ordinary sheds on bronze level. And when I was doing the bronze level testing, for example, I had 12 out of 50 in the 3 tech, and it just, I don't know. It just didn't feel, I guess maybe it is 10% more. It just felt like such an underwhelming ability. So take that with a grain of salt on that. Preston says, worth noting, those are the added percentages to the chance of doing those things and not a strict percentage. Correct. Yes. And I want to make sure we do realize that we do talk about that if it's 100% chance on this form right here on this PDF, that does not mean 100%, right? That means if you have a 5% chance, it's now 10, right? Am I wrong on that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm guessing that I don't know how much Preston is deep in there. I'm guessing that maybe added on to the I guess what you call the real number on the back end, because all these things and chances are like put into formulas and stuff. And the reality of like how the game works with interactions is all about what was it, rating difference.
Okay.
And so I'm guessing these are like these are adding to, like, let's say on the back end, like once you put in all your players' attributes, like your offensive lineman has 100 versus D lineman has 90. And I'm guessing this just add, and that's like, oh, offensive lineman has a +10 advantage, and it's just added on to like, hey, okay, we're adding on to the O lineman either being a higher separation in that back end
Hmm.
equation, or and then them getting more wins versus the defensive player adding up. I'm guessing that's probably what these percentages are about. About, hey, we're just gonna make it give you a higher percentage chance of like winning or losing blocks, and
Yeah.
then and I know as the separation and ratings get further away, that's when you have the increased likelihood of secondary equations for the super wins and stuff like that. So I'm guessing that's probably what he means because you can't just say plus 100%. Because if it's plus 100%, that means it's going to happen every time, and I'm sure
Yeah.
that's more than likely not how it's
Yeah,
working.
and I mean, really on the opposite end, right? When I was testing this for double teams, I never beat a double team, so plus 75% on zero is zero. So just remember that. You might have, of course, you're gonna have different advantages. Hopefully, if you have a larger player and all the better stats and everything. So, but just remember that stuff when we're looking at these percentage. Um, and Preston just co-signed what you just said there, OG. So appreciate
Okay.
you chiming in on that. Grip breaker. It's the opposite of strong grip, right? So we have almost Cape. Is that the exact opposite of strong grip?
They are the exact opposite. The only difference is when it comes to pass lateral rush sheds,
Mm-hmm.
grip breaker actually mirrors a percentage at silver, whereas strong grip does not start to mirror and is 0% until it gets gold.
Okay. So silver versus silver is going to be grip breaker that's going to take that one
Yeah.
when we look at those. And
One
I
thing
would,
one thing I
yeah, go ahead.
sorry, go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
One thing I want one thing I kind of like to know, Preston, I'm not sure if you know this offhand, and I could doubt this was a thought, but where does that percentage start when it comes to lateral shed? Because my original thought was when I went through this the first time, I was like, okay, if you have like a 90-degree angle, you're starting at maybe degree 90, and then you just start taking away from that. But then going through this, I was thinking, maybe the lateral shed actually starts at like a 45-degree angle and is going from like 45 to like 135. And if you're taking
Mm.
away percentages, that means that when it comes to something like, say, strong grip, you're not really even able, once you get hit like platinum, you're not able to disengage until you're actually heading technically backwards.
Which is possible. Which is possible.
Yeah, that's always been a thing in the game with how disengaging works. I'm trying to think what the last game maybe that I actually would have it in the instructions tutorials of the manual of the game. It was like it'll literally say disengage block, and it'll just say, "Hey, go straight backwards upfield." And that no, that's how it works. That's how it works. So basically, that yeah, it just makes sense now. Seeing they're talking about angles, like there's one angle that always works, and that's perfectly perpendicular running up the sideline. If you just press the opposite way, your guy will disengage.
So you can't necessarily lateral shed at a 45-degree angle, which would be sort of like towards the runner or towards the backfield. It starts at completely sideways, is what you're saying.
It
I'm
might,
thinking
yeah.
it may. I'm thinking it may not even start there because knowing how awareness works, knowing that angle isn't perfectly flat or 180, it may start from somewhat behind, being one a perfectly whole 180 at the line of scrimmage. It may start a little bit behind that depending on your rating. So this may just be adding, well, depending on the ratings, this may just be adding saying, hey, naturally because O line's ratings are this much better than you, your
Hmm.
angle is 10, 10 degrees behind you in order for you to laterally
Yeah.
shed.
Like
But
I
having
don't
this one is like, okay, it's like,
look at
okay, we're adding those 10 degrees. Now you can shed somewhat going into the backfield instead of going behind you.
was gonna say I don't think so. Preston in the chat said not sure. I thought he was compared to the line of scrimmage, but I have no idea. I don't think it's that because, like you're saying, OG, and if we all know, right, there's that little bit of you just feel like sometimes you're stuck on somebody, you can't get off even when they run almost past you. And if that was the case on these, a grip breaker on, for example, Heisman would be almost be able to shed before the running back even left the shadow of the offensive lineman, if that makes sense. He'd be already shedding it. So I don't think that it is a perpendicular to the line of scrimmage. I think it's more of probably a 90, it starts at 90 degrees and then works from there. I wouldn't be surprised.
I think it's
Or
more
maybe
orientation
45.
of the defender, the blocker.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. So point of that, right, is when we're thinking about this, don't think about it in that sense of perpendicular to the line of scrimmage. Just know that grip breaker is going to have a significant change to the angle of which you can get off the block. Blow up, this is another one I tested. I love this ability this year. If you haven't watched the blow up video, I highly recommend you do. This is an ability I think everybody should have at bare minimum on your special teams. It works against impact blocks, and if I'm correct, my theory is every special teams block is an impact block, so you can blow up and you can really get downfield. In addition to, of course, playing defense. But one thing I thought was interesting: deny, O-line, pancake attempt right there, guys. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody's talking about it. Go look at Dcraft on Twitter, Civil on Twitter, yapping about getting pancaked. This is how you beat it. Go get yourself a box specialist safety, and play him at cornerback if you have to. Put him in a run formation, play him at quarterback. Point being is this is how you deny it, right? Stops O-line super wins. Blow up that impact block, right? Go ahead.
Yeah, and remember what I told you in a few videos ago. I think it may have been when you were testing this, I spoke about how people got to be reminded every player, offense and defense, both have an impact block rating, and that's used for all players in an impact block situation. Yeah. So for some guys, it's like, hey, make sure you don't have some wimpy, particularly I would say linebackers and maybe your box safety. Check on the back and make sure their impact block rating's not low, because you don't want those guys getting ran over every time someone may have a pull blocker against a fullback in the game. That's a little bit of extra buffer to help you, along with having, even if they don't have blow up, that's that little buffer that'll help you just from not getting pancaked and ran over every play.
Absolutely. And I really look at this in the sense of, before we complain about the game, right, let's stop thinking about it in the same way that we always have, which is speed wins every time. Try to design your defense to stop the run and not stop the pass, and then bring them into a run game where somebody's running this Hulk formation against you, and you have two coverage specialist safeties, and you have 3 lurker linebackers out there, and then you're wondering, why can't I stop the defense, or why can't I stop the Hulk formation? You don't have the personnel. So this is something I would look at, and this is one ability I highly recommend. And certainly, if EA gives into this idea of the run game's too good, well, guess what's going to be even better? Blowups is going to be even a better ability when it actually when they patch, inevitably when they patch the run game. But yes, that is a good point with the impact blocking. Everybody does have that rating. Quick jump. Looking at quick jump snap stamina cost. I didn't realize that had an impact, honestly. Perfect jump snap upgrades early wins to super wins. That's interesting. And one thing I noticed here, doesn't talk about speed, doesn't talk about acceleration or change of direction for quick jump. And now I wonder, how does that play into the defensive backs? If you're doing like a corner blitz with a boundary safety, I think has this, or a corner has this. So that's interesting. Go ahead, Cappe. What's your public service announcement?
Yeah, so I want to say that like quick jump actually is going back to what I mentioned earlier, your super win thing when it came to having quick jump use the tackles before your centers can actually react. That appears to be holding true. So congratulations on you catching that about calling out the defensive tackle, because it's these these early wins, because now we know there's a category of defenders are coming towards each other,
Mhm.
but they're not actually there yet, and the interaction of super wins before even an engagement. So
Yeah.
credit to you on that. And also, just a quick public service announcement to anyone listening from Poodle CFB, from Dominate CFB Dynasty, from Max Play CFB, from anywhere across the internet, including Reddit. If you're asking, why does my wide receiver in Road to CFB or in Play Now has quick jump instead of takeoff, it's better. You get better percentages. You get better percentage increases, and and you also get a stamina cost cut from doing those things. So just be quiet and let it be.
Just take
All I
it.
gotta say.
um, any other thoughts, OG, or you got Ohio State in here as well? Any thoughts on quick jump? Move it. Oh, go ahead.
It was just surprising knowing that. I'm guessing. I know they brought the stamina bar things in a while ago, but I never thought it was like. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's like, yeah, when my guys do outside of the actual name of the ability, but when you see them actually get a quick jump off the ball in the game, I do notice, like, I'm now recalling now, there's a little bit of a stamina reduction. So it's like, so certain player is, I'm guessing it's basically sort of a push and pull. Like,
Mhm.
hey, you got a very perfect jump off the line, but also if they do stop you a little bit, you're gonna run out of stamina before you can actually complete your move.
Yep.
And so this makes sense in that sense of like, hey, now if you get a good jump off the line, it's like, no, you can keep going. It'll be easy. And the early wins turn into super wins just feels like a cheat code.
It really
Got to see it in
does.
practice, but it sounds like a cheat code when you're seeing these percentages.
And I mean, I'm telling you this, like I'll stand on this podium, on this soapbox here. All I'm recruiting is athlete speed, rushing defensive tackles. That's all I'm recruiting for my DTs. For my primary DTs, right? Of course, I'm gonna have the guys out there that are run stoppers, but at the same time, like if I can get to those super wins against guards and centers, that's the straight line is the fastest path to the quarterback, and that's what I'm trying to do. And they're already the closest, so I think it's just a win-win when you put that quick jump on your defensive tackles. Um, Going into house call, this is kind of one we talked about earlier with house call versus ball hawk. I don't know. I don't think I want house call anymore. I think unless I'm like getting them both at the same time, I think I just want ball hawk. Isn't that kind of what you're deducing here, Cape? I mean, it just seems like you get a better increase for the securing the interceptions. Isn't that what it was?
Yeah, you get it's crazy because you get survive, break, strap. It's like, okay, that's a Heisman thing. Interception and stamina, okay, that's a Heisman thing.
Mm-hmm.
Survive. Anyone who's the ball carrier, house call gets ball carrier after that. You know, they're not gonna fumble the ball.
No.
But really the whole thing is just secure the catch, secure an interception catch, and hold interception through like physics stuff.
Yeah.
And you have your percentages there, but then blanket you have,
Ball hawk.
I mean ball hawk. Ball hawk you have, better cuts, better break protections, and then better securing numbers. You have 10, you're looking at house call. What the number there? House call is like secure, it's like 10, 20, 35, 60.
Yeah.
Ball hawk is
So
like 10, 30, 50, 100%.
yes. So it's 10, 20, 35, 60, 75. What's going on, CU Tiger? Appreciate you coming into the chat. But that's I mean, if I'm going between the two, like let's say you're upgrading your player in the off season, and you say I can go ball hawk or I can go house call, it's ball hawk without a doubt. Like I wouldn't even start on house call until my ball hawk was to platinum, if I had the ability to. GD said, nah, brother. Notre Dame has 2 platinum blowups, 2 golds, and 1 silver, and they still get pancaked. Well, remember, it's not a 100% chance they don't get pancaked on blow up. It's just an addition to, right? So that's one thing that you got to remember on that. So they still have obviously ability to get pancaked. Field quarterbacks start with too low of awareness rating to actually get ball hawk is question mark rainbow. That's a better question for Cap A, honestly, because I don't know what they start with. Skippy, we are nerds. Yes, we're looking at a PDF and everybody's enjoying it, I hope.
Yeah, field cornerbacks, they value awareness almost. No, that's not true. Nearly the least amount on defense, other than like pure power defensive linemen.
So it's but bump and run though. Bump and run gets both ball hawk and house call, correct?
Correct.
So that's why I would be recruiting personally. Moving into
common bump and run W, as I always say.
Moving into knockout. So knockout is, I thought this was a pretty good ability last year. And it's in the 2 category thing. So deny the catch through contact and then knock it out midair. 2 separate ones. Heisman is a pretty big jump, 25% jump there. I do like that. So I think Cap A, I think you've said this before, that one of the big things with knockout is this, it's like a second chance, right? You gave up the play already. We already gave up the pass, and now you have that last effort to knock it out. And I think that's a pretty good one. I do like the statistics here, or the analysis on this one here. It looks pretty good. I would say once you get up into that gold realm, I'm surprised that the deny catch through contact is 0 on bronze. So if I can only get it to bronze, I'm probably just going to skip it personally.
Knockout is I've said is probably like my second favorite defensive ability in the game behind wrap up, because and looking at the numbers prove it. You have knockout on screen and you're looking at those percentages. I'm just gonna read out the sure hands percentages versus them. So knockout in midair, knockouts 15, 33, 60, 90, 100.
Okay.
Knockout for sure hands, and by extension 50-50 to an extent. Bronze, 0%. So advantage knockout. Silver is 20%.
Knockout.
Which is, again, advantage knockout.
Yep.
Gold is 40%. Advantage knockout by 20 more percent.
Ooh, and that's a good point. Yeah.
Is 70% for sure hands. Again, a 20% advantage for knockout.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
That's where you get all
that's
of
a great
that.
point.
That's where you get all of the value from. You just win. You just win when you have knockout.
What were you gonna say, OG?
Yeah, I was gonna say Cap A. I agree with you there in terms of value of abilities, who's winning versus what should be against it. But still, the thing is, on the back end, we don't know what the advantage is, because I remember from years before when Mud Leaks was in their prime, before EA changed their API so it wouldn't be easy to get the data out of the game, that there's a decent amount of situations where it's like, if it's purely even ratings, it was like a lot of the advantage would go to the offense. Correct. Some of them would go to defense, but it's like not everything's even, Steven. But I would say, yeah, still here is like you sort of want to know your abilities are even, like, in terms of gameplay. You want to know, like, hey, I want knockout and sure hands. I want to know basically if both of these guys have platinum, it cancels one another out. Like, there's no advantage left. But yeah, we're seeing in this that depending on which ability it is, things stack up different.
Maybe that's why the advantage goes to knockout when you look at the percentages, right? So maybe it's a 15 baseline percentage just catching the ball for their wide receiver, and so what they do is they say bronze essentially cancels out no ability, and so on and so forth all the way up. Now, with Skippy's asking in the chat, how does knockout interact with catch meter? No clue. I'll tell you this. I was trying to do 50-50, and I feel like it had no effect on the catch meter. Maybe it does. I didn't see it. But I was just messing around, so I didn't really have a video up on that one. And what do you think about that, OG, with the possibility of knockout essentially at the lowest level canceling out the next level down of sure hand? So bronze, nothing, silver, bronze, so on and so forth. And that's the baseline offensive advantage.
Yeah, I would if it's a 15% offensive advantage, 15% more likely to catch it, more 15% more likely to catch than to not
Mm-hmm.
catch. I mean, that's fine. I mean, that's fine. I mean, it's a video game. People want to be able to make sure they catch,
Yeah.
but also it's like, but also if knockout's better than short hands, I'm fine with that because it's like, hey, if I get a killer defender, I want to make sure he's a killer. I want it to be like prime Troy Polamalu or Roy
Yeah.
Williams back in the mid 2000s. I want to make sure, like, yeah, or John Lynch, when that guy decides to hit a guy, I want that ball to be gone. If I'm moving up this ability. So yeah, I'm pretty sure. Well, I was gonna say I'm pretty sure EA is good at balancing, but it's like no,
No.
given my given my 33 years on this planet, they're not good at balancing things out.
Yeah,
So,
I agree with
but
that.
I'm but it probably works for now, and I'm pretty sure in the next patch all these numbers will change, and Press will have to go through again and change everything.
Which is okay. We will make Preston do that.
Yeah,
That is fine.
yeah.
So moving into the wrap up, Cape did say this is his favorite ability. One thing I'm catching on this one that I find interesting is contest that jars the catch loose. Interesting. Didn't think wrap up had anything to do with that. But break up the catch tackle. So that kind of makes me rethink when I look at somebody when I look at my linebackers, because normally I'm like thinking I want a lurker linebacker out there all the time. Like I don't know. I don't think lurkers get wrap up. Maybe they do. But
They do.
oh,
Every
perfect,
linebacker gets a
perfect,
wrap up.
perfect then, because I'm thinking about this as just a pure tackling ability, not breaking up the pass ability. Because I don't think it actually activates when you break up the pass. You do that the catch tackle animation. So I thought that was pretty interesting on it right there.
I think, well, I've, again, anecdotally,
Mm-hmm.
we were discussing last year, a couple different people saying how knockout EA's code in terms of figuring out when a catch happens versus if a ball is knocked out of your hands, sometimes it registers as a fumble. When we were discussing doing a couple tests
Mm-hmm.
where we use like knockout because knockout can sometimes trigger fumble just because EA doesn't know there's like a delay or difference between fig- registering a catch and the game registering catch fumble versus catch knocked out of your hands.
Yeah.
And we were discussing, knockout does that, but also wrap up because wrap tackle drives fumbles.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it makes sense. I guess I just didn't really, I didn't put two and two together. Um, it just feels like to me, like sometimes these like gut feelings are like, oh, this is just a pure tackling ability. We're trying to make sure that we don't get any broken tackles, and that's what I'm like. I'm not thinking about the complete opposite, which is, oh, and we're trying to stop the pass with this ability, essentially,
No.
right?
But the big thing I want to point out that not to be overlooked is ball carriers do not get faked out. That is something that I've seen, but I don't think everyone's ever really talked about.
The ball carriers do not get faked out.
That's that's fairly pretty big because like you can see with some of them, it says user versus non-user.
Mm-hmm.
Because that fake out window changes between if you're a user versus a non-user,
Yeah.
and knowing that you could have a linebacker that you're not using having that ability, and their chance to get faked out decreases a lot. It's big. And then also because of the way the game functions as I don't know if it's based on elusiveness or juking or whatever anymore, but like how fake outs can stack between it being a one player, one defender, two defender, three. I think the max is five. But knowing that at least if you're diving to try to get a tackle and you're getting picked up, if your guy besides you has ability on, he's gonna be able to at least get the tackle just from you getting in the way.
Yeah. Yeah. Moving into Hammer. So Hammer is I made a video about the most violent defense last year, and then it it really wasn't that violent. Wait, no, that was Aftershock. I take that back. So Hammer's ability for hit sticks, really. One thing I find, I'm a big turnover type person, so when we're looking at this fumble chance on perfect hit stick timing, I'll take anything, man. Even though it only starts on platinum, I'll take anything. I think we've all been there where you're down by maybe 2 scores and you're like, man, I really need to force a turnover. You go and you flip that setting to aggressive and you're like, maybe something will happen. Not if they don't have platinum. I mean, yes, it could help. Baseline, there is a % chance, and this is just going to add to. But if they have platinum, you're going to go up, 7% or up to 14% on Heisman, which is, to me, just nice. Force a fumble on a downhill hit stick. I'm not really sure what they quantify as that. I'm curious, and if those two add together.
I would say like just you have speed behind you. That's
okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
I would advise anyone, don't get hammer unless you're going to go up to gold minimum. Because the big thing I'm looking at is the 30% extra hit stick is nice, but not something you want to hang your hat on. 50% with an extra 5% window is nicer.
Yeah, and then on top of that, like when you do get the composure upgrade, now you're going to platinum, you're getting the increased fumble chance, you're getting another 30% on the hit stick, less likely to bounce off. So I think that's a good spot to sit as on gold. I don't even know if I'd really want to go up past gold looking at that. Maybe downhill is max speed. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point, Explosion or Rainbow. Moving into bouncer. So bouncer, this is an interesting one because on last year's test, bronze through gold did nothing. Like I didn't see a single difference. Now, when I tested it on platinum, you saw a significant, and it wasn't 5%. It was a significant drop in speed. I mean, we're talking like a 90% reduction in speed. I haven't tested it this year. And I don't know if those are additional or those add into each other. Like the fatigue on the receiver is 25%. Plus there's receiver gets an acceleration penalty. And so those added together make it feel super slow. On platinum last year, I think you could build an entire scheme around this. On bronze through gold, it was garbage. So I'm curious though to see if it's the same this year. Has anybody had platinum on bouncer for anybody?
Not this year.
Let me know if you
used it yet.
Yeah, let me know if you're in the chat and you saw it. Go ahead.
I feel like I saw a video, but that may have been a Madden video actually in 26. Someone having the Madden equivalent and just zeroing out the wide receiver stamina during the play.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was ridiculous on platinum last year. It was something that was kind of fun to play with. Aftershock, this is just kind of telling me how this is garbage. I mean, 10% is all you get on Heisman. I know it's a wear and tear thing, but you're only getting 10%. That's 20 plus skill points. Plus, you got to get your player there. Skip it. Not even going to do it. Like, don't even.
This is the video you did last year. And even though I had not paid attention to Aftershock, because I looked at it, I was like, what it does? I was like, over the course of the game, it might not really be too worth it. Then you showed it with your video, and it was like, unless you're someone who's going to play with the sliders, which is something I do to increase, wear and tear damage from certain kinds of hits. And this ability's not worth it.
Not and worth for those it. Keeping Go ahead. Score, for those of you who are keeping score, Workhorse outpaces Aftershock. In fact, if you just have gold Workhorse, you outpace Platinum Aftershock because it's 3%, 6%, 9%.
Yep.
And then 11-11.
Yep. And I mean, I'm sure that's done on a reason, right? Or for a reason. But on top of that, like, this might be the lowest overall. I mean, it's one category. That's all you're getting is one category. There's not even like a multiplier or a hidden ability of like, hey, forces more turnovers or fumbles. I would just, this is not worth it. Skip it. Skip it completely, even if you're playing with the sliders, because it's if you go up in wear and tear like everybody else, we already see the baseline sliders are pretty wear and tear heavy. I don't think it's going to be that good. I would skip it. Robert, so this is what Skippy wanted to see. He said, even over Robert Cape as your second favorite ability. I don't know. This one, that seems pretty good.
No, I love this ability. It's like probably, it's in my top 5. I don't know exactly where I have it, but one thing that this does that the others do not, like even its offensive counterparts. If you look at Cutter, you look at Magician, you look at Shifty, all of those are elusiveness increases. This increases acceleration, change of direction, and speed.
Yeah. Well, now it does say speed rating bonus, so I don't.
In percentages, yeah. So there's so this is your. Oh, can you get over 100%? Can you get over 99 speed? Yes, you can.
Yeah, maybe sure. If it doesn't cap it out. I'm curious. So when I did this test last year, I kind of did like a 3-cone type drill back and forth. I didn't see a big impact, and maybe hopefully that's fixed this year. Because last year I was looking at it and I said, I know everybody says they like it. I don't see why. Moving into blanket coverage, this was one of my favorite. I'll say number 2 on defense last year. It doesn't work this year. I can't get it to activate. I don't know if I'm doing it wrong. I can't get it to activate, but if it does work and maybe it's just not activating underneath the player, that's interesting. Deny receiver press super win. Does that tell me we have jammer on blanket coverage?
You have jammer on blanket coverage. That's exactly what that says.
That's what it feels like. They're not going to blow by your defensive back. So put them up on the line and jam them if you have your player, on Heisman. Again, somebody pointed this out. I can't remember who it was. Legion is a very good mental ability because it gets everybody going and it's on deflected passes. It does not have to be interceptions. So you're going to deflect passes throughout a game. You might as well up all your guys from gold to platinum to Heisman abilities. So I think that's pretty cool. Also,
number 1 ability to pair with based on all this is ball hawk.
Yeah, I mean, press right there. Deny super wins and wins on the line. If you get it on Heisman, you have jammer. Just remember that, guys. If you have it on Heisman, you have jammer. Speaking of jammer, moving into jammer. This one has a lot of different categories here. So press in the correct direction. Didn't even know that was a thing. Deny receiver counter win. Counter super win. Win the press. Win the counter. And then man coverage cut. Which is interesting because it looks like they gave jammer a little bit of blanket coverage on Heisman.
Yeah, they
Can
did.
I say something real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
That press in the correct direction. I don't know if I'm speaking for the crowd, but I don't think any of us assumed like they picked directions and where they actually tried to press you at. I thought we all probably thought it was more just the RNG, like, hey, are you going to win the press or not? But now we're realizing, they're picking a direction at where they're going to press.
Yeah,
I'm guessing dead center, inside leverage, outside leverage.
That would be my guess. Yep.
Yeah.
So that's good to know.
That's a funny bit, but yeah, but I also wanted to comment on the Heisman thing, like how we're seeing to a degree, especially here where you're seeing one ability get another get another ability once you get to Heisman. All I can say is, I'm guessing on this part, we can say EA sort of stayed true to their word. That when they said, once your player gets upgraded to Heisman, when they're really shown out in the game, they're going to become at another level.
Yeah.
And now seeing on the back, it was like, it's not that you're just they're just doing their ability better. They're getting other abilities added to them,
which is
essentially.
so awesome
So now
because
yeah.
Because when you look at it, if you say, okay, my defensive back has, platinum jammer, he's playing so well, he's at the Heisman level, and he can't cover a wide receiver because his quote unquote cut coverage isn't that good, like that's ridiculous, right? If he's that dang good, he's going to have another ability, and that's great to see it actually come into fruition. And they say, yeah, no, if he's at Heisman, he can actually cover the man cuts better. So I feel more comfortable if I have this on. If I had to make the decision of putting this on platinum or upgrading the other one on platinum, and I go, I'll go with jammer. But now I'm like, hey, I can actually jam the guy, I can play man coverage a lot more, and not be as worried about, well, what if he doesn't jam him very well? And what's the outcome after the fact? Well, he's still going to stay with him. He's still going to play with him if he's upgraded on Heisman, which is great. And then you put bump and run, jammer, blanket coverage, ball hawk house. I mean, that I'm only going bump and run. So if you're in the creator dynasty, I'm going for every bump and run quarterback out there.
Press 5. I keep telling everyone, like, I play my standard defense is press 5 until you tell me you can beat it.
Yeah.
Cover two man, press alignment, beat it.
This was this ability right here, ball hawk. Actually, I was gonna talk house call, but ball hawk, we already kind of talked about this again. Interceptor, resist the force out, which is pretty cool in my opinion. And faster break on the ball on the Heisman level. I thought ball hawk always broke on it. So reaction once you decide to play the throw. I wonder how that differs from ball in air, play ball. I wonder how they make that determination. INT.
Probably route commit.
Oh, that.
No, I don't think it's route commit.
No, this is one of the few things I could say, like, knowing from things that are in the code, that I could say I'm sorta like a expert on, because that basically, because people say awareness doesn't mean anything, but in reality, awareness is actually your player's vision cone. And
Okay.
every single thing that happens in the game that needs a reaction, it has two groups of if it's inside your vision cone or outside of your vision cone. And with zone, inside of your vision cone, the higher your zone rating is. Once you get to 99, once the quarterback starts his arm to throw the ball, your defender's immediately going to where that ball is going to land. Versus the RNG chance, like, not having 90 overall, still good, but 99, you're breaking a million on the throw. So this is increasing that chance of likelihood.
Mm-hmm.
And play ball in the air. I'm guessing this is also it lowering its the delay it automatically has if your defender does not see the ball. So it makes them react faster, even if they have their back completely to the quarterback. That's what I'm guessing.
Gotcha. I mean, go ahead.
I wonder. Well, you say what you have to say first. I'll finish it.
So I mean, I was just thinking through this, So like, I think about playing and seeing my defenders, kind of like, you're absolutely right. The ball goes kind of like by their ear sometimes, and I'm like, man, like, what is going on here? I wish he would have, made the play on that. But I didn't really think about the vision cone as you were talking about. I would love to see that. I would love to see. Maybe Preston can pull that out for us. I'd love to see the gameplay vision cone if it is something that is out there still. Because that was previous Maddens, you said, correct, OG?
Yeah, that was previous Maddens. That goes back to like
06.
I would say basically not even 06. I'm talking, this is still in the game all the way up until maybe, well, no, for sure it's still in the game till maybe Madden 18, 19-ish.
Okay.
Sounds about right.
Because let me see, because I can find.
Yeah, you're looking that up, Cape. Once you cover what you were going to talk about. What's going on, Sir Tox? Appreciate you being in here, man. We're talking about, if you haven't seen it, we're talking about this PDF. It is fantastic. It's by Preston. Real quick, I just want to give him one more shout out here. PrestonChote.dev. Check him out. He's got some fantastic stuff. CFB data, check it out. A lot of your favorite YouTubers are using this information right here, guys. Preston is the man when it comes to it. You can even request your own data down here. Give him a shout out, submit the request. He probably will not get back to you because he has a super big head and he thinks he's the dude. He is. He is the dude. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, Preston. What were you going to say there, Cape?
I wonder, with this new information, once looking at ball, once you decide to play the throw, so I wonder if like the CPU can decide to play the throw. I wonder now if sleight of hand with its pump fake ability is a counter to this.
Ooh, I like that. I like that.
Get them to jump.
Yeah, because they decide to play the ball and then they're going to go after it. I'm curious. All right, so while I'm talking about this last one, I want you to think about this, Cape. And I want OG, if you're still listening, I want you to think about it. Everybody in the chat, I want you to look at it. Also, tell me what we've covered so far that you found the most interesting. Like the video. Tell me what you wanna try out. You missed a lot, David. We went through every ability so far. Tell me what you guys like though, and knowing what you know now, what do you want to see tested? And then I'm going to go into this. So we got deep range. We got the special teams abilities. I am multi-year Ray Guy level winner for punting. It's probably because my offense sucks, so I have to punt a lot. Anyways, deep range going up. We're going to reduce the kick timing. That's great. Mega leg. Chance to skip the overkick penalty and going to 100%. That's awesome. That's a big reduction right there. Coffin corner, it's all right. Field flip, that's all right. Not great. Of course, these are types of abilities like you're going to get these, right? Because once you get a kicker or a punter, like you're just going to kind of go for those ones. But that is all of our abilities there. So now coming back to you, Cape, what would you say your favorite or your most interesting thing is that you found or that we found today?
Obviously it's Mega Leg. I just want to say real quick that Mega Leg, chance to skip the overkick penalty. It's not worth it unless you get it at least on platinum because it's a 90% chance. You want a coin flip, but give it a Mega Leg. So get Mega Leg on platinum. All the other bronze, silver, gold, not worth it. But
of course,
that's not what we're really here for. The sort of biggest takeaways that I have, and there are a lot of them, but everyone's, I think, saying that you can't really stop the run. And I think definitely run stopping has been harder to do this year. I think once you get players and you get further in your dynasty, there are ways to mitigate it. What I'm more looking at is one thing that I've said for multiple years is I'm looking at it's very easy to stop the pass. If you play man coverage and you train the players up to play man coverage, these bump and run abilities, well, specifically the bump and run abilities, have so much overlap that these percentages are stacking on top of each other. Like we were talking about how there's a little bit of robber, and I mean there's a little bit of blanket coverage and jammer. There's a little bit of jammer and blanket coverage. Well, if you take a look at where they do line up and you're gonna be able to like get them Legion and you're on Heisman, then you're able to get like the standard bonus from one of them, which would be like say 90%. And then you also get another 90% or 80% on top of it from the other ability. So you're looking at 170% if you have a Legion, Heisman defenders stopping. And even without the buffs, things like knockout outpace sure hands in 50-50.
Yeah. So flipping over to you, OG, what do you think? What's something that you found throughout this data here that you're like, what's your number one thing like, whoa, big time?
my number one thing is like seeing the defensive abilities outpace the offensive abilities, like Cafe just said. And I think that's the important thing is like, hey, upgrade your defense,
Yeah.
upgrade your defense. And I'm pretty I don't like to shit on other people playing the game because everyone deserves to play a game their way at their difficulty.
Hmm.
But I will say, seems like a lot of complaints about the game come from guys who aren't particularly good at playing the game and thinking, just because I do, I want to do this, it should be allowed to happen. And it's like,
Yeah.
no, 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 you're playing with the 1-star team. Like you're gonna get your shit kicked in on hazard difficulty by Alabama.
Yeah.
But it's like these things are like, hey, knowing some things in the back is like, hey, sure up these things, and it will be easy, especially like wrap up. Wrap up seem I would say out of all the abilities I've seen today, wrap up seems to be the one that on a defense is like, hey, get 2 or 3 guys on your defense who have this, make at least a linebacker and one safety, just it'll stop the bleeding a lot easier. Seems like
That's
having
fair.
that's probably the best ability that has nothing over the top with it. It's just like, hey, you'll be able to tackle at least 2 to 3 guys on your team. We'll be able to tackle, and they won't be able to get shaken out of their boots. Well, it didn't say anything about getting trucked.
It did
That
not. It did not say anything about getting trucked or lowering the truck chance. But
yeah,
I would agree, though. I mean, like, still the second highest thing I see on some of these, pro level YouTubers or streamers, they say the stiff arm ability is too good. Well, it's probably because you don't have anybody that has wrap up. So
yeah.
I think you gotta do that. I think you gotta really focus in on run stopping abilities for sure. My biggest takeaway is sleight of hand. I'm kind of a nerd about this. I never thought of the pump fake thing. And I know it's probably not going to be a significant deal, but I love the hidden abilities. I love the idea that I could maybe run some double move plays. I love the idea that I'm just gonna hit pump fakes more. Like I didn't think it really did anything at all. I even know Preston was saying in the chat that it blew his mind seeing the pump fake stuff. And even on bronze level, it's just something I just never even thought about. Like what influenced pump fake? Maybe it would have been awareness, but now seeing an ability in there, awesome. Um, what is this? Oh, what is this? Do we got more, Preston? Hot off the presses, you're in luck. Preston coming through one more time. Deserves one more shout out, guys. One more. Go check out Preston chote.dev. We got mental abilities in here now.
Oh,
I don't know. I haven't looked at these. This is brand new. I mean, I'm talking minutes ago. Preston sent this to me. This is something I wanted to test out. So if you guys got the time, I'm willing to roll through this.
I'm all here for this. Hold on.
yeah. Yeah, the only thing I planned after this is getting some Taco Bell, man. So let's go through it.
All right, so we got Road Dog, 50% composure gain on platinum, pretty linear. Multiplier on composure gains in this ability situation. Okay, fan favorite. Scales composure gains at home, 50%, pretty much the same. Winning time, let's see what this one is. Okay, extra self composure late in close games. Flat self gain in low games. What are we looking at here on this one? Significantly increased by 2 minutes ago when score is different of 7 or less. Preston, maybe you can explain this one here in the chat.
So
Go ahead.
I'll see us. I'm finally just catching up to your YouTube stream. Increased composure.
I'm guessing this may be just a straight up increase.
Yeah, I wonder if there's is it what's your composure out of though? Is it out of 5?
Yeah,
is it out of 100?
Yeah.
If it's out of 100, this is terrible. If this is out of 5, that's fantastic. Interesting. Maybe Preston, if you could get back to us in the chat, I'm going to keep going on this one. If you could get back to us in the chat and tell us if there's anything you know more about this, that'd be great. but that's only on platinum. I think, yeah. Clear
Plus
headed.
two on
Go ahead.
even I said plus two on platinum, but it depends on what the scale is. If it's like out of five, even silver is beneficial. Like, hey, that plus 0.5 may take you from being completely cold, completely ice cold to just that half. So now the snowflake's gone.
Yeah.
So you can at least get a little bit of play out of your guy.
Yeah, that's interesting though. I'm curious. It makes me wonder though, because if it's that low, it makes me wonder that it's like, is it out of 10 or 5 or something like that? I'm just curious on that one. Clear headed, we have a reduction of up to 50% for protection from composure loss. Sounds like winning time doesn't need a trigger, and the other are percentage increase to gains.
It does make
That's
sense.
fair, but again, I'm trying to figure out the context of the 0.3 to a 2. Hot-headed. Game title string is roller coaster. So remember that. Game title string is
Yeah.
roller coaster right here. So hothead. Up to 50%. Multiplier on composure gains in abilities, situations. I think this is gain or composure loss, right? So that's a big one. Not one you want to play around with. I personally would not want it at all. This is interesting. So not this one, but the next one. I was kind of looking ahead, guys. So we got headstrong. This is a 90% resist on composure hits in a stadium pulse loss. That seems big.
Good luck trying to find a platinum headstrong.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's very true. Some of these abilities are very, very hard to find, but knowing that even on 35% headstrong is pretty good. The natural, this is one I've always wanted to test, and this one has a lot of stuff in it. I find it very interesting right now. So first and foremost, ignore weather impacts, 10 all the way up to 100 plus percent per play roll versus precipitation weather rating, slip, catch, kick, snap, break tackle, I think, and composure hits. BT, I'm not sure what the exact means. But when we start to look at this, guys. We have bad snaps. We have slips. Now, if you were watching Ivory Pass and Coco play, I think they were playing in a monsoon, and Ivory Pass, every time he ran the ball, it was a slip. There was a slip going. Go ahead.
I made a Poodle. If you're a Poodle CFB member, I had made a entire archetype breakdown. I forgot how many pages it is. It's like 20 plus, going over each archetype. And one thing that I had mentioned was I also mentioned things about like mental abilities. And one of the things I had said was like one of the best things uses of the natural is for pass catchers, because they're not going to drop balls. They already have a tough time with knockout and blanket and all this stuff. But if you get and cutting and making sure they don't slip when they cut, but if you get some pass catchers and also some ball carriers so that they don't fumble as much in like rainy weather, and in some cases even passers, if they don't have as much arm strength, maybe even more so now that we know the throw power effects. But it's a very awesome ability to have.
To me, I've always looked at it like this. I would take the natural. If I could find the natural, I don't care what archetype it is. I don't care who it is. I always want one player with the natural, whether it's bronze or higher. And that's going to be my guy when it is a monsoon rainstorm. I'm putting him in. I'm putting him in because he's already going to have an advantage over every other player. So his 80 speed or 85 speed, maybe it feels like a 90 because everybody else is kind of working with that wet footing. As you see, receiver, cut, slip range, fumbles, break tackle, composure, all are impacted by this, which is, I had no idea that composure was something that would be impacted by this. So the natural helps out a lot, guys. If you're looking for an ability to actually help out a lot, go with the natural. What's up?
But I was gonna say also, like you said, you want to look for one guy. I would say try to find at least one guy on offense and defense. And like further up in the beginning, you skipped over. I don't know if you noticed, but it also said if you have the natural at platinum, it ignores all weather. Like all the weather penalties are completely ignored.
What's this
If
plus?
a
It says plus 100%. So like again, if it was a 5 out of 10, 100%. Well, I guess 4 out of 10, right? That would take you up to an 8 out of 10 on ignore, right? If that makes sense. So I don't think unless I'm missing it.
No, he said it like where you first get to that area, because I know I'm delayed on it.
Mm-hmm.
I swear it said how it's translated in the game, and then it said
Oh,
platinum
yeah,
fully
no, you're
ignored.
right. Platinum is a full ignore.
Yeah.
Oh,
If you can find a guy, if
Lord.
you can
All
find a guy
right.
with platinum, if you can find a guy with platinum, and you're playing on a team in the southeast United
Rain,
States.
snow, or
You know there's
shine.
gonna be a rain. There's gonna be a few rain games in there. So
Hey,
if you
if I
get
get a
that
guy with
platinum, you got a
if I
guy
get a
who
guy
can
with
just
platinum, aside of all the controversy, I'm naming him Carl Malone because he's gonna be my mailman. Rain, snow, sunshine, wind,
My
he's gonna perform.
gosh.
yeah, you
Oh,
might gotta, when this is done, you might gotta delete that audio out of there.
That's all right. All right. So we're moving into team player. Ignore out of position rating penalty all the way up to 100%. Now, this is something I have no idea about, and I've always wondered. Offensive tackle to offensive guard to center, defensive edge to tackle, Sam to Mike. How much of that is impacted? How much of that is impacted by this? Or are they talking about like halfback to wide receiver?
it's more so halfback to wide receiver. Like Will and Sam are considered the same position. Edges flipped are considered the same. Guards flipped, tackles flipped. I'm not completely sure about the offensive line. I don't think there is, and if it is, it's incredibly minimal. I think the
The
out of position rating modifier probably needs to be looked at, and it's probably not global, but rather isolated. Like there's maybe a bigger one if you were to go from, say, cornerbacks playing defensive line versus like linebackers playing defensive line. But I can't exactly say
My
what it would be for each.
my one thing about that though is like I know that's what we all want to believe, right? But it does say right here, players assigned to lineup slot does not equal primary position, not position group, not primary slash secondary. And if I'm thinking about primary position, now it could be tackle the tackle's fine, but tackle the guard is not fine. Those are two separate recruited positions. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So I'm thinking that might have something, but that's something that, well, it does. Yeah, I think that might be. But I would love it to just be the next thing. To be whatchamacallit. Tackle the guard is fine, but I don't know. Moving in. Go ahead.
I was gonna say that I'm pretty sure it's that way. That's how it is, and you can kind of visually see it. I think when you go into depth chart, I think when you go in games, sometimes I don't exactly recall, but and you usually see it with like an awareness drop. So I think certain positions are fine, but also, let's say you're right and I'm wrong.
Mhm.
That would just mean that the the best way to handle that would just be play most of your defense, like on defense, for example, play most of your defensive positions out of nickel and dime, where now you don't have to worry about where they're lined up at. Sub linebacker is just linebacker.
Yeah,
Left, right, rushing left edge, rushing right edge. Those are just edges, and you're not going to deal with those.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Going into field general, what do you guys not see on here? Blitzers. No mention of pre-snap blitzers. It is not in the game. We tested it out, guys. I told you I didn't see it in 205 attempts. There's no pre-snap blitzers that are mentioned. This is confirming what I've tested out. Like it does not work. Now, it is interesting with the platinum level. You do have a 90% identify coverage shell, and all the way up to platinum, you don't get anything for disguise shell. And even when you do, it's only 15%. So yeah, I don't know if I'd even trust it. So seconds/window for safety tells. I mean, platinum much longer, awesome. But again, the biggest one, in my well, one of the biggest ones is the pre-snap blitzers, and it's no longer in there, which is interesting. Instinct. So this is one of the abilities that, again, I think if you can find this, go after it no matter what. So cuts initial move delay versus run place, faster run reaction by 12 up to 95% on that one.
That's
Fraction.
my goat. That's
Yeah,
my
so
goat mental ability.
Again, if you can find this on platinum, this is I would say when I'm looking, what do I mean? Like, what am I? Of course, we all want to get platinum ability. Guys, when you're in week 13, 14, or whatever of the season, and you're trying to figure out what to do with all those extra hours because you're kind of like, I kind of have my players set up. I have to save some, scholarship positions essentially for the transfer portal or even NIL for the transfer portal. Start scouting linebackers and safeties to find this ability. Go through, scout everybody you can to find the instinct ability, and then recruit that guy no matter what, because that's who you want to formation sub into your run stopping formations. At least that's what I would want to do.
It's also I say, you want that in your run stopping formations. You also want them in your neutral and in some cases passing, because if you have a lurker with instinct,
for sure, yeah,
play the pass and then it's a surprise run or it's a draw. But guess what? Now they're crashing the line faster because they recognize that much quicker.
Yeah, what I'm really going with though is like, week 13, 14, 15 of recruiting, all the 4 stars and 5 stars are pretty much called or identified. You still have 3 stars out there, even if you're like you're not like Kent State, you're Georgia. You have everybody you want. Start using those hours to scout for instinct. And worst case scenario, you have a 3-star guy that you get with, maybe you get lucky. He has silver or gold instinct, and then you just develop him for a few years, and then he comes out in your run pass or your run stopping formations. That's kind of how I would look at it, in my opinion. All right, so moving on, we have best friend, teammate composure. Again, we kind of looked at this. This almost looks like what does this look like out of a scale? Is this out of a 10 for composure, or is it 5? It depends. But there's a pretty decent amount there for composure grains based off of our initial ability of, where were we at? Winning time. So winning time gave us 0.3, 0.5, 1, and 2 self-composure gains, and that's for the quarterback, or well, generally the quarterback, I would assume. And then going down to best friend, you're also going to be able to influence it pretty decent, it looks like. So interesting. I think hopefully before the stream ends here, Preston can get us some context on this, because again, we got more actual numerical values here. 0.23 for offensive line rally, and then defensive line rally is 0.5. Interesting that goes up faster. It's probably, I would assume, easier to get a pancake than a sack. And that's probably why. Legion, go ahead.
It's also somewhat easier to get first down throws than pancakes on like pass blocks.
Well, does it say pass block?
No, you can do it on any pancake, but it's more so just.
Legion, significant composure game for other defensive backs, guys. I think this is one of the abilities that's vastly overlooked. It has a scale ability, has a higher scale than even the defensive line. And when we look at a 0.8, I assume that's going to be really high based off of everything we've seen so far. If you have this on platinum, you're making plays, and all of a sudden your cornerbacks are lighting up. They're getting upgraded. All their abilities are being upgraded. Like, that's huge. That is another ability I feel like you need to go for. What's that?
All the defensive backs.
Yes.
It's your safeties as well.
Yep.
You're playing 4-2-5s. You got guys throwing deep bombs.
You're
Your
influencing
knockouts can improve.
4 other players. That's huge. Adrenaline wear and tear deduction mod, faster wear and tear recovery when on the field. This is pretty good. I think this is one of the ones you always want if you're running the option. You want to have that quarterback with adrenaline. 10 to 100% off field wear. I mean, that's recovery rate. That's awesome. Like I would say this is up there with probably the natural. Like it's just a good ability to have. Certainly when you have wear and tear
Well, the
to
health
that.
reduction.
What's that?
I would say the health deduction.
Yeah. Well,
The
even
health
just the
deduction, I
recovery
would say,
though.
is better than the recovery. The
Yeah.
in-game recovery, guys will always recover, but the health deduction, I think, is better because I need my guys to last the whole season.
That's fair. That's fair, and that's a great point. Dominate CFB Dynasty did say, "Wish 3 stars had a chance to roll platinum mental abilities." Is it absolutely zero, David, or is there a chance whatsoever?
I agree with David. I believe that 3 stars don't get platinum. Um, it's sort of I've also have never seen, and maybe it's just bias,
Mm-hmm.
or me not keeping track, but I also haven't seen a 4 star with a platinum mental ability. I've seen them with platinum physical abilities, but
Yeah.
not. I can't recall if I've seen platinum mental abilities on a 4 star.
Now, I'm going to ask for DK if he's listening still. Maybe I'll talk to him offline about this, but if he could go through and give me some information on this. I know he did some probability of physical abilities for me, and I do appreciate that very much. I'm curious what the probability of at each star level of these abilities are, because yes, if you can't even get it on platinum, if I can get it on gold, I'd be cool with that. I'd be cool with that. And then we got clutch kicker, last one, kick meter slowed. Of course, this is going to be a great ability for your kickers. I don't really think I have to say too much on this. Okay, so going around the table here, let's favorite mental ability after we saw this. Anything that stands out to you? OG, I'll start with you over there.
It's hard to know without knowing the scale of the composure ones, because if the scale is like 5,
Mm-hmm.
then well, I would say for online dynasty, winning time is the best ability.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because some user versus user most times is going to be close. And sometimes you just need that little bit of extra, extra bump for your players, particularly a quarterback with it.
Yeah.
Particularly a quarterback with it. If the scale is small in that platinum, well, even the gold, that +1 can make the difference between your guys accuracy playing like an 87 versus a 75. But I would say other than that, I would say just in general, Legion's probably the better one to have, the best one to have, because if you can get things going just a little bit with your defense, breaking up some passes here and there, that is just going to compound and make all your DBs be on fire. So there there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong there. Yeah, there's nothing better than Legion. Just if you can play some decent pass defense, get all your guys lit up, and then you just got to deal with the run. Then should be fun times. But for online dynasty, it, once we know the scale, if Preston figures that out, if the scale's very small, winning time's going to be it. So that's going to be what pushes you over at the end of a game. That's going to be what pushes you over.
Yeah, and I agree with that assessment there. Like, it really depends on the scale, because if we're talking on a 5 and you're sitting at, let's say you start the game at a 2.5, and if you go below a 1.5, you're cold, and if you go above a 3.5, you're hot. I think it's pretty big if you're sitting on platinum and you get 2 PBUs, and then boom, everybody's hot. Like that's it. That's significant. And then same for winning time. if it just takes one big play and then all of a sudden you have a hot quarterback and your ODB's favorite sleight of hand now is at Heisman, like that's huge. That's huge. What about you, Cape? What do you think?
I mean, first of all, DK is here to defend himself, so I don't even know for him. I do want to say the mental abilities kind of, now that we actually can see numbers, I want to actually look at the numbers myself and really think about them before I say anything on the natural. But those numbers are very interesting now that we know what the weather impacts are. Legion, again, big if it's a thing. We need to figure that out. Adrenaline, also pretty nice, but for me, it's still instinct. It's nothing that we haven't really thought about before, but I think instinct is a terrific ability, and it just kind of confirms it. But really, I'm looking at the weather effects for the natural. I'm looking at Legion being such a big thing, especially with now that we know defensive pass breakup ability outpace the offense.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I really want to. I'm with you, ODB. I want to know further information on what's out of position when it comes to team play. That's my big thing.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, thinking about what I agree with the natural, I do agree with Legion. Looking at the natural, so if Platinum's a full ignore, it's 100 plus 100%. I'm gonna say it's a 0% without the natural, right? Because that would kind of make sense. Is 100% would be a full ignore. So I think that's pretty good. But I don't think there's enough games this year where it's gonna matter. I mean, of course it will matter. I would say that in my opinion, I think on a star player on offense, Adrenaline is the best one. Because the best ability is availability. And if I can have my running back that is my star running back out there more often, and he's a freshman that I'm going to lean on for 3 to 4 years, like you were saying, OG, I think it's important that we have a mod to reduce the impact of wear and tear for his career. That to me is big time. Like I really, it's not much at the bronze level. Gold, it starts to be important. I would say platinum, if you could get platinum on your star player and you could be out there. I mean, I think we've all faced it where you're sitting there with a running back that you hit about 15, 16 carries and feels like he's dying.
Yep.
Right. So, and I'm a run heavy offense. Like if I can run my quarterback 25 times a game, I would. I know I can't though. That's the problem. And having Adrenaline on my star most important player on offense to me is the biggest factor. I think, although I think number 2 is Legion, number 3 is probably Instinct. But I think Adrenaline is pretty important there.
It's 2 things about that. Also, just Adrenaline on your offensive line so that they last throughout the season because they're the ones who are taking all these hits. So just want to point that out. Also, just to continue your roundtable, speaking for DK in the chat, he says he thinks winning time on Platinum takes you straight to hot, but he's not 100%. But that would be huge if true.
Yeah, and it might be on that 5 scale because or maybe a 10 scale. I want to say when I was testing things out, about 2 to 3 plays, like significant plays, would take you to hot. So if we're sitting at 5, we go 7, 9, 11. I don't think that would be it. And these are guys without winning time. So I think it might be on a 5 scale, honestly. All right, guys, we're hitting 2.5 hours. I appreciate everybody being on stream. Big shout out to Preston one more time. Preston Choate over at prestonchoate.dev. He's got fantastic information out here. Just go over to CFB data and you're going to get all this fantastic data whenever he decides to release it. Join the Discord. That's where we're going to post it as soon as Preston puts it on. I have it in the premium subscription right now. Big shout out to Cap A here, being a co-host, OG Smurf. Do you guys want to shout anything out yourself?
Nope.
All right.
I don't want to self promote on your channel.
Well, I'll self-promote for you. Well, it's Poodle CFB. Check out Cap A's work over there. Again, thank you. Like the stream. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. I also am up on TikTok, and follow me on X as I argue with competitive gamers about their nonsense. All right, guys. Thank you one more time. ODB out.